and we're really delighted that you can join the session. It's a really important session, I believe, around wellbeing, and Sophie and I will introduce ourselves shortly. We're really pleased to be able to kind of round off our employability webinar series with this session, so we hope you enjoy. So there's a little bit of housekeeping. So if we pop on.
Yeah.
So just a bit of housekeeping. So if you can pop yourself on mute, just so you can hear Sophie and I speaking, that would be fantastic. There are opportunities for you to interact with us, and we would really actively encourage you to do that. So do have Slido open, and the hashtag is ECSW. We'll ask for your opinions and thoughts, but there's also opportunity to ask questions as well. The session will be recorded. We will try our best to circulate that, but if not, you'll definitely get the slides sent to you following the session. And as I said before, please do interact with us. It's going to be a lovely low-key session, hopefully, hence why I'm sitting on my sofa. Me and Sophie both got cups of tea, so settle in and enjoy the session. Okay.
Yeah, bear with, hang on.
The slides are tired after 5 sessions.
It's been a busy day, day.
So who are we? So my name's Gemma Hurt. I work for GE Aviation as Early Careers Leader for Europe. I've been in the business a year, but been in early careers for pretty much all of my career. And now you see a kitten. This is the joys of working from home. A kitten isn't very well, so I have to be a bit nice to her today. So been in early careers for a number of years, and together when I moved to Cheltenham last year, decided to create an early careers Southwest forum. Essentially, it's a group of employers or employees who work for different organisations, but all really passionate about the early careers space. And between us, we thought this would be a fantastic opportunity to share some of our knowledge with you. So although we are representing different businesses like GE Aviation and Graphcore, all of our thoughts are not kind of tied to our business, obviously, especially with this session, but just things we've learned along our many years of working in this space that we want to share with you. So
yeah. I love that the kitten arrives right on cue.
So I knew she would come. It's well-being, so stroking a cat is good for you, right?
Absolutely. Hello everyone. Hello again to those who've been on other sessions this afternoon. So I'm Sophie Haskey, and I'm the early career specialist at Graphcore. So similar to Gemma, I've been in the early career space for a number of years. And I know we sort of spent the last couple of days talking about, hints and tips on applications and going through the job process. But, it's really important that you sort of take time to look after yourself as well. There's been a lot of focus on well-being, particularly with sort of COVID causing lots of issues for lots of people. So we thought it was really important just to finish off the webinar sessions with some time to reflect and to sort of think about how we look after ourselves as we go through this. So looking forward to sort of going through in some more detail this afternoon. Okay, so you've heard a little bit about who we are. So it'd be great to know a little bit more about who you are. So if you can just head across to Slido, use the code ECSW and just fill in the poll there. Eric will keep track of who we've got. It's just nice to get an idea of the types of people that we're talking this afternoon. And we can always tailor our message accordingly. The other thing, just to share whilst we're going through, waiting for you to let us know who you are, is just say again, Gemma and I are sort of talking to you this afternoon from our own experiences, our own perspectives of well-being and having a good mindset. So we are not professionals in this space is the caveat for this session. We will not profess to be experts in this field. We will share some information on resources if you do need particular sort of support and advice. We're taking kind of a much more practical approach to this. So yeah, just putting that caveat up front. We will help and share the advice that we have, but yes, not experts or professionals in this capacity.
But what's wonderful is we know each other obviously on a professional level, but we also see each other at the Lido swimming at 6:30 in the morning as well. So that was we never thought we'd take our working relationship quite that far, but as you can tell, both very passionate about looking after our bodies and minds.
Absolutely. So who's joined us today, Eric?
Excellent. Yeah, so we have around 35 attendees on the session, and we had 22 votes, which is excellent. So it's again a split between kind of students looking for placements and graduates. We have a few career advisors or lecturers on there as well, which is good. 24 votes. If you still want to vote, please do. And then I'll hand it back over to Sophie and Gemma to talk you through this very, very important session on well-being, which we are all very passionate about as recruiters. So a couple more seconds, 25 votes. I'll close the vote now, and yeah, back to the both of you.
Thank you. So just whilst you have Slido open, it'd be great just to understand how you're feeling now. So before we get stuck in, how mentally prepared do you feel for job hunting? So think about where you are sort of right now. Just head back over to Slido. So use the same code and just let us know how mentally prepared you feel for job hunting as it stands.
Excellent. So yeah, I've opened the poll. So we've got 19 responses at the moment. Scored 2.4. So yeah, definitely. Hopefully, we'll give some good points here to improve that well-being. 2.5. So it's between 2 and 3 at the moment. 24 votes. It'd be great to have a few more coming through. So head over to Slido, ECSW to vote. A few more seconds, and then we'll close the vote and head back to the slide. So yeah, I'll close it now. Back to you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, and we'll come back to that question at the end of the session just to see. Hopefully, there's been some helpful insights for you to take away from the session. So, what is it we're going to talk to you about today? So, I've already said, obviously, Gemma and I are not healthcare professionals when it comes to mental health and wellbeing. So this really is focusing on your mindset and some practical tips to help you look after yourself as you go through what we all know and can appreciate to be quite a difficult time of job hunting. So we are going to talk about some practical tips when it comes to preparing for your job hunt. A couple of hints and tips around building your adaptability and resilience. If they haven't been tested already with 6 months of lockdown, they certainly will be with a job hunt on top. Some additional resources as well. And then we are also running an optional mindfulness meditation session at the end at 4:30. So for anyone who would like to stay on the call to join that, you're welcome to do so, but it's not an essential part of the session. That is optional. So if you don't wish to join for that part, we'll let you know when the main content is ending. But for those who would like to stay on the line, you are welcome to join us for that. Okay, so jumping straight in then. Getting set up for your job hunt, getting prepared. It sounds, doing a job hunt is enough in itself, but actually there's a few things that you can do to really help make the process as productive as possible, and a few ways to get things sort of set up and prepared before you start. So sounds pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but actually getting yourself ready. So start off with having a good start to the day. Quite often when we're working from home, it's tempting to stay in your pajamas, work from bed, whatever it might be. But actually getting yourself into the right frame of mind and into the right mindset is incredibly important. So getting dressed can make a huge difference. And I certainly feel the difference when I'm kind of make a bit more of an effort, believe it or not. That's what I've done talking to you guys today, versus days when perhaps I haven't got any Zoom calls, I haven't got any meetings, and I might just feel a bit more casual. Actually, I feel much more productive when I've made an effort and I've gotten myself into that sort of work frame of mind. Having good breakfast, I think we've all heard from the healthcare professionals on this, of setting yourself up for the day, incredibly important. Make sure that you're fueled and ready to start the day. And as Gemma said, a particular passion of ours is having some exercise first thing in the morning as well. So we swim, but there could be all sorts of things that you could do, just something to get the blood pumping, the blood flowing before you start your day. So getting yourself ready to start. Once you're ready, then start to think about where you're going to do your job hunt. So don't expect that everyone's going to have the luxury of a slick and snazzy desk as shown in the picture there. but having a space where you can focus to do your job hunting is really important for a number of reasons. It can help you focus, but also it can help you create that sort of switch between work and personal time. If you've got a dedicated space that's just for working, you can close off at the end of the day. That could be as simple as just putting down your laptop, putting it to one side, you're tidying everything away, sort of out of sight, out of mind. But mentally, it enables you to switch off at the end of the day. And that's really important, particularly when you're trying to juggle coursework, university work, lots of job hunting. Giving yourself that time to really switch off and sort of step away from all of that is really important. When you do come to the point of wanting to work, having everything to hand can be really helpful. There's nothing worse than setting down to a task and realizing you don't have the things that you need. So whether that's a notepad and pen, headphones, but also a drink or snacks. If you're like me, you need to eat every 10 minutes, have some drinks and snacks to hand with you, staying hydrated, staying fueled again over the course of the day. When you're getting stuck into a task, the hours sometimes can fly by, and before you know, you haven't eaten all day, which isn't great for your sugar levels and your concentration. So make sure you've got drink and snacks to hand. Can't always guarantee that you won't have a stray housemate, pet, sibling, joining your workspace. But where you can, try and limit the distractions that you have, whether that's a notice on the door, putting your phone somewhere out of sight, whatever it might be. It can take quite a few minutes to regain your focus if you are interrupted or distracted from the task at hand. So try and eliminate as much of that as you can. If you have a particular preference when it comes to your working, whether that's having background music or having background noise, TV, whatever it might be, use that. For me, it's usually the radio, depending on which program is on, or it might be some music, depending on the type of work I'm doing. That can be really helpful, again, just to keep that focus. And as we've already said, once you're done for the day, once you've done your job hunt, you've submitted your applications, switch off, put your sort of work things away, and make sure you've got that distinction then before you step into your personal space. Okay. So you're ready, your workspace is ready. What are you going to do with your time? So having a bit of a plan as to how you'll spend the time you've dedicated towards job hunting can really just help keep your focus and keep your productivity. And it can be incredibly overwhelming when you've got multiple job applications on the go, lots of things that you need to get done. So one really simple way to structure that is to use this quadrant. So this example we've got on the screen here. So if you start with writing down all of the tasks that you have to achieve, and then allocate them into a different quadrant depending on how urgent they are and how interesting they are to you. And what you can then do is focus your time around the urgent and high interest priorities. There is one caveat to that, which we would say is if you are applying to a role for the first time, as in it's the first application you're submitting, we'd recommend that you do a couple of applications for some roles that you're perhaps your least preferred companies, make all your mistakes with those, and then go back to your kind of high priority areas. So when you are thinking about how to categorize your tasks, think about the deadlines that are coming up, think about how much work is involved and your preference for those roles as well. What you don't want to do is leave your preferred application that needs quite a lot of time right to the last minute. If you can, try and batch similar sorts of tasks together. So that can, again, just really help keep your focus and keep your productivity rather than switching in between different things. Try and batch similar things as you go through. And set time for each task that you have as well. Before you get started with all of this, do a bit of research to understand how much time is really needed for each part, and make sure you've got a realistic time limit for each. You might go over, you might end up getting some time back, it'll depend, but try and set yourself a time limit so that you can, again, get as much out of the working day that you can. And despite what they say, multitasking is a myth. So do just focus on one task at a time. You won't get it all done all at once. So just work through one thing at a time, and do each thing well. Okay. So as we've already said, obviously this can be quite a tiring, exhausting process to go through job applications. We've all been there. And another way that you can just help to make the most of your time available is to manage your energy levels. So this can be done in a number of ways. Finding your productive hours. So spending some time to think about, how do you like to work? When do you like to work? Are you sort of a morning person? Are you a night owl? When are you most productive? And what you can do is actually schedule your task in and around those times. So for example, if you've got tasks that you don't particularly like doing, if you do that when you have high levels of energy, you're more likely to get it done and get it out of the way. What you can then do is save your favorite tasks for when you have a little bit less energy, as a way to motivate you. And that's a really good way to sort of manage your energy levels throughout the day. Taking regular breaks is really important. So the recommendation is you take a 15-minute break for every hour that you're working, which I know seems like quite a lot, but actually just to stand up, walk around, take a tea break, whatever it might be. You know, if you're in the office environment, if you're at a university, you'd have those breaks in between classes and lectures. So treat your sort of your job hunt time in that same way. Take regular breaks, give your brain a chance to refresh. And if you've got tasks that really drain you, think about when you want to do those. If they drain you that much, is it really something that you want to spend your time on? And we've touched upon this a little bit already, but really take a step back and think holistically about looking after yourself. So making sure that you've got time to rest. That's not always just sleep. Sometimes a quick cat nap can be really helpful, but having time to rest, eating a good diet, socializing as well for some people, not everybody, but for some people, they get their energy from being around other people. So if you need to take time out to have a phone call with somebody, absolutely do that. And also take some time to exercise as well. So this is sort of your health and wellness in all aspects. So just sort of sharing how this sort of comes to life for me. I've noticed a real shift in my day and my routine, particularly as a result of lockdown. So I was used to getting up at 5:30 in the morning, commuting for a few hours, being at the office for 8:30, and that would be my power time, those first few hours of the morning. That's totally shifted now. It now appears that my productive time is actually about 4:00 in the afternoon, which is not helpful because I then find I'm working late. But actually, that's just how things have shifted for me because of how my daily routine has changed now that I'm not commuting. So a lot of this, might be trial and error. It's really about just sort of spending some time to get to know yourself and get to know what works for you. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Gemma to talk a little bit more about adaptability and resilience. Okay, over to you, Gem.
Good to know that your energy is high now, because my energy
is
morning. So if I start
lagging,
you can just jump in and rescue me, because 4:00 is definitely not my power hour. So you're getting me definitely at the end of the day. So this session is all around kind of building resilience and adaptability. By the end of this session, it doesn't mean that you're going to potentially have shifted from not feeling a very resilient person to a super resilient person, but at least it will start giving you some kind of hints and tips and things to think about when you're facing the job hunt. We obviously hope that all your job applications are successful, but chances are there are going to be some roles that you don't get. And it's about how do you manage that potential disappointment and kind of re-energize yourself to face the job market again. Okay. So I thought it'd be helpful just to define resilience for you, because I think people use the word quite a lot and perhaps don't necessarily know what it means. So resilience is your thoughts, behaviours and habits that give you the ability to bounce back from or adapt positively in the face of adversity. So I've deliberately used the elastic band there in terms of, view yourself as an elastic band. You're getting stretched and stretched and stretched, maybe with some challenges or tough times. And when that elastic band goes, how easily do you kind of go back to normal, whatever normal may be? So it's the ability to kind of bounce back. And I guess the aim is to build as much resilience as you can. I know my resilience has definitely been tested throughout lockdown. And as Sophie talks about kind of trial and error, I think anything to do with your well-being is about trial and error. I've had to learn some different tactics over lockdown to build my resilience. My family is a massive source of support for me, and obviously in lockdown I haven't been able to see them. I live on my own, That's not helpful for an extrovert who needs people around her. So really kind of putting in tools and practices to build my resilience. So the cat and the kitten obviously help, that you've met already, and also just making sure I do stay connected. So like Sophie said, where you get your energy from. I have lots of Zoom calls with my friends, and obviously as lockdown's been lifted, spending time with them just to help me build my resilience and get those kind of reserves in the bank for when you are being tested. So think about kind of what gives you energy, and that will also help with your resilience as well. Okay. So staying positive, really easy thing to say. There's a little mole there because you've probably heard about the analogy of making a mountain out of a molehill. And sometimes when we face negative things, we go into something called catastrophized thinking. And I'm really glad I could say that, because in all my rehearsals, I couldn't actually say the word, which isn't helpful. And essentially it's magnifying or kind of cognitive distortion about making a scenario seem much, much worse, dire or severe than it is. So one example here is maybe you didn't get the job, but that goes from I didn't get the job, which is a truth perhaps in a scenario, to I will never get a job. I'm useless. I'm going to be unemployed forever. I'm a failure. And it's where you get, something that might not even be a truth, or it might be, I didn't get the job, and how you extend that further and further and further to something that is not a truth, that you're a failure and you're going to be unemployed forever. So lots of people do it. I actually did it the other day. I caught my landlord taking a photo of my house, and I went down the rabbit warren of, he's putting the house on the market, the house is going to be sold, I'm going to be homeless. And all he was doing was taking a photo of the house because the roof needed doing. But my brain, because I was feeling particularly unresilient that day, had gone down the rabbit warren of, I'm going to be asked to leave this house and I'm going to be homeless, when actually it was something really, really positive. So although I'm sharing this advice with you, it is really easy to fall down the trap of catastrophized thinking. But I think it's really important to know what catastrophized thinking is. I got that. And then I can share some ideas of how you can manage that mindset, because it is a really easy thing to slip into. So firstly, it's recognizing it. So I completely recognized in that moment that I was being a little bit ridiculous. I was pretty tired. There's some stuff going on with my family, and I took it all the wrong way. But then I reflected, and I'd wasted so much energy deciding that I was going to be homeless, and what was I going to do, and where would I go. I wasted all of this energy on something that wasn't true. So the important question as well is to say, what's the truth in this scenario? So maybe you have got a job, you weren't successful in the job hunt, but does that mean you're a failure? No, that means you haven't got that job. And actually, there might be a really valid reason. Find out feedback. That will help you acknowledge the reason behind what has happened in this job hunt that perhaps you weren't successful in. But ask yourself, what is the truth? So what you're thinking, is there any fact or any validation that what you're thinking is true? And sometimes just saying out loud really just helps you go, yeah, this is silly. Like, I've gone down a whole different path here. So just saying out loud or sharing your thoughts or fears with somebody, being vulnerable is absolutely fine. I know through this process of creating these webinars, I've definitely demonstrated vulnerability to Sophie about some of my fears about these sessions, because, even for us, sitting running these sessions with lots of people online is nerve-wracking. And have faith in your ability to cope. So believe in yourself, the fact that you can get through this. Just believe. We ran a session earlier about a graduate panel, and it was really interesting. One of my placement students actually talked about kind of believing in themselves and being kind to themselves through the job hunt. So make sure when you are feeling this kind of way, feeling a little bit out of control, be kind to yourself. Do things that energize you, like Sophie suggested. Appreciate that the job hunt is tough. There's no bones about it, and you will be juggling other things. So how you're feeling is completely genuine, but just be careful about the catastrophized thinking. Acknowledge what is true, and think about what can you do next with this information. How can you harness that into a positive? And mindfulness, which hopefully you'll join the session later, is a really good way of make sure you're in the present moment. it is really easy. Part of the reason I like swimming is I have to concentrate on not drowning, that I can't worry about what's going to happen that day. I'm not reflecting on what's just happened. I'm literally in that moment. So for me, swimming is almost a bit of mindfulness for me, but I have no capacity to think about anything else. For that hour, I'm in the pool and I'm swimming and I'm getting my lengths in. But it's really hard to stay present. I don't know, maybe it's time, have a little bit of a reflect, and how much of your time do you spend in the current moment? So taking control. So I am probably nicely known as a bit of a control freak, and I think when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, control is something that's really important to kind of focus on and think, in this scenario, what can I control? So maybe you're in a job hunt, and you've maybe been informed you haven't been successful. What can you control from that? So if you're wasting all of your energy in the kind of circle of concern, which is things that are totally out of our control, that's wasted energy. The circle of influence is also what can we influence. So the circle of control is what can you do. So maybe you've been informed you're unsuccessful. Actually, what can you do? You can go and get some feedback. You can think about your skills and experience and really think, did it really match what the employer was looking for? What can I do in this scenario to gain back a little bit of control, and think about what can I do next? And it's all about recognizing your feelings, understanding where you are, and taking action, but not wasting energy on the areas that you can't influence. So the circle of control is the area you definitely should stay focused within. Okay. And interestingly, again, on our graduate panel earlier, some of the students talked about using feedback. So you've put all this effort, you've kind of managed your energy, you've made some applications, and perhaps you haven't got the outcomes you wanted. And it's kind of going back to the piece about taking control, and using feedback is a really great way of turning something potentially negative into a real positive and harnessing it for your next application. So always ask for feedback after a job application. Also, if you're successful as well, it's important to gain it. I often offer students feedback and when they haven't received a job, and sometimes they say, I don't want it. And I know in that moment they are feeling cross, probably disappointed, and they don't want to hear it. But I always encourage them that even if a 2 weeks time they want to get back in touch, they can do, and they normally do. So however you're feeling emotional about that moment, do always ask for feedback. Sometimes I get people challenging some of the feedback that we've heard. So you might get told in a group exercise, for example, you were really quiet, and you might think, I'm not normally like that, I'm really, really loud. Potentially that might be the case in kind of day-to-day life, but perhaps what it's demonstrating is when you're under pressure, you may demonstrate different behaviours. So if on face value you don't agree with the feedback, just maybe take a moment to reflect and think, normally I'm not like that, but clearly in an assessment centre, for example, when I'm feeling the pressure, maybe my behaviours do change and I haven't quite acknowledged that yet. Good feedback will be fair, accurate and constructive to help you improve. I'd love to say that all employers give fantastic feedback or even give feedback at all. Some employers won't be able to, and especially in the really, really early stages of the application process, the sheer volumes of candidates mean they probably won't. But in the later stages, most good employers will give you some feedback and give you feedback that you can use and drive forward for further applications. But if it is offered, do take it. But if it's not, it's probably worthwhile in the moment. So you've just done an interview, just to take time to pause, stop and say, how do I think I did? What did I find really easy or I was really comfortable with? Or what did I actually think, I didn't think I answered that very well, or I know my communication wasn't fantastic. So in that moment, just take time and pause and reflect on your own to give yourself feedback. And there's also really great mind shift change. And Sophie's going to go into it a little bit more on the next slide. If you walk out of an assessment centre and think, I'm not great at presentations, I'm just not good at them, I'm not going to get the job, I'm not good at them, just changing that phrase that you tell yourself. Obviously, I'd love it that you don't say you're not good at something, but I'm not good at presentations yet. And that's a real mindset change. I've also taken up running, and I always say I'm not good at running, but I've changed it to I'm not good at running yet. And just that mindset shift of believing in myself So I did go out for a lunchtime run in the rain, and smashed some of my previous runs, and it was great. But if you'd have asked me months ago, it would have been, I'm not good at running. Whereas if I changed the mindset, so I'm not good at running yet, and it totally changed the way I thought about what I could achieve.
Thanks, Jem. And yeah, mindset is incredibly important. So there is a psychologist from Stanford University, Dr. Carol Dweck, who has spent decades researching this concept of the mindset that we as humans have. And there's a sort of, her conclusion is that we fall into one of two categories. There's those of the fixed mindset, and there's those of the growth mindset. The fixed mindset is all about believing that your abilities, your character, your intelligence, your creativity is something that is fixed. You cannot change it. You are born with it. So you're either good at something or you're not. The growth mindset, on the other hand, as Gemma said, makes you think about things that you're not good at yet, and how with the right approach, with practice, with time, you can actually become good at something. So it's simple things like when you receive feedback, it's seeing that as a learning opportunity, as just a case of, oh, well, I can't do it. And it's a really important shift that can make quite a difference. And I have read Carol's book, and I would highly recommend it. It's really interesting to see some of the traits that you can sort of unintentionally have, thinking that actually you can't do something, it's just beyond you, and just adding that word yet to the end of a statement can really help make a difference. So that's something I'd sort of really encourage you to have a think about when you're going into that job hunt, and when you're receiving feedback, is what can you do with that feedback to really help improve. So we have put together, as we said at the start of the session, Gemma and I are obviously by no means experts or specialists in this space. We're just sort of sharing some of the hints and tips with you that have been useful to us. And so just by way of a bit of a recap, talk to your friends and family. Sometimes a conversation is enough, particularly when you're going through a particularly challenging time. Your career service at university will have resources available to help you, such as practical advice and support, either with your job hunt or from a wellbeing perspective. If you are looking for slightly more specialist support when it comes to mental health and wellbeing, there are lots of charities within the UK. Mind in particular is very prevalent and has been doing a lot of work recently through COVID lockdown. And there are lots of apps that you can download as well. So Headspace and Calm are some of the well-known ones, but lots of ones available that can give you some sort of practical exercises to help as well. And obviously we're going to share the deck afterwards, but the growth mindset, really fascinating research and lots of hints and tips to how you can shift. If you recognise yourself as being in the fixed mindset camp, what are some of the ways that you can move across into that growth mindset? So that is us coming to the end of the content that we had prepared to run through with you. So we are shortly going to start our mindfulness meditation. But before we do, please just head over to Slido quickly, use the same code, #ECSW, and let us know how you're feeling now when you think about approaching the job hunt. And Eric, perhaps you can let us know what sort of responses we're getting through.
Yeah, absolutely, and they look very, very promising, very good. So yeah, we had 24 votes come through in the first poll that we did. We're now on 15, so hopefully we can get a bit more closer at 24 would be great. And we're scoring incredibly well, 3.8, so really between that 3 and 4 mark, where we initially sat really between kind of the 2 and 3. A lot of 5s as well, actually, so it's going up and up, which is fantastic. So it's really, really good to see that the slides that you've covered off essentially has really supported 17 votes. So hopefully a few more to go through, and yeah, 3.8 is kind of the average score. So I'll close the vote now, and yeah, over to you for the last bit of the session.
Fantastic, thank you very much, Eric. So thank you all, everybody, for joining our session this afternoon. We really hope you have found it helpful. We are now going to move into a mindfulness meditation for just about 10 minutes or so with a special guest, Sophie Fremont, also from GraphCore, who has been running a series of mindfulness exercises and meditations for GraphCore staff over the last few months of lockdown. So we do have the privilege of Sophie joining us this afternoon to run through an exercise. So if you would like to stay on the line to join that meditation session, you are welcome to do so, but there is no obligation. So if you would like to depart the call and just take what we've shared with you, you're welcome to leave. And obviously those of you to stay on the line, and we'll start with our meditation in just a couple of minutes. Thank you.
So welcome. Sophie and Gemma, can you just tell me if you hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Do you hear the music also?
Not the music, no.
No?
Oh, that's better. Yes.
Okay. Do you still hear me well if I speak this way?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. It's from home, so I don't have a studio, so so first and foremost, thank you very much to the two of you to having invited me to join you today, and all of you. And I'm going to guide you, as Sophie mentioned, for the next 10 minutes or so into what we could call the mindfulness meditation. Okay, so there is nothing to do, nothing to achieve. I'm going to invite you to maybe close your eyes and on board that, I hope, very relaxing journey with me. So this is a brief, guided, mindful exercise to relieve stress and anxiety that you can do anytime, anywhere. It will leave you feeling more grounded, more relaxed, and alert to your present moment experience of your body and senses. So to begin, allow yourself to get comfortable. You can be seated or you can lie down for this meditation. Take a few deep breaths, inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly. Allow yourself to let go of any stress you've been feeling. Let go of any tension in your shoulders. Let go of any tension in your jaw. Allow your breath to return to normal. Simply bring your awareness to what it feels like to breathe right now. Notice the physical sensation of breathing. Wherever that physical sensation of breathing is the most vivid, place your awareness there. You might feel it most in the rise and fall of your abdomen. You might feel it most in your nostrils. Wherever that sensation is the clearest, simply place your focus right there. Experience the inhale. Experience the exhale. Experience the in-between. And each time that you notice that the momentum of your mind has drawn your awareness away from your breath, gently, non-judgmentally, place your attention back on your breath. You might find it helpful to say within your mind, inhale, each time you inhale, and exhale each time you exhale. By silently saying these words, you draw your attention back to your breath. Your mind will wander. Simply notice when it does. And with compassion and love for yourself, accept or acknowledge that your mind has wandered. And bring your awareness back to the physical sensation of breathing. Observe each breath as if it was the first breath you've ever taken. This is an opportunity to pay attention to this present moment. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Being aware of breathing in, being aware of breathing out. Simply notice and feel what it feels like to breathe in this present moment. And as the momentum of the mind draws your awareness away from your breath, kindly and gently bring your awareness back to your breath. Allow yourself to explore this moment, to be curious about this moment, to allow your breath to open up the doorway to this moment. Breathing in, breathing out. As you prepare to come out of this meditation, notice how you feel in your body. Take a moment to feel this feeling of presence. take a moment to experience it. To notice what it feels like in your body to be present. Breathing in, breathing out. Being aware of breathing in, being aware of breathing out. Offer yourself a little gratitude for taking the time to be present, and carry this feeling of presence with you as you keep going into your day. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sophie. I always enjoy those sessions. Thank you very much. Thank you. And hopefully everyone on the line has sort of able to enjoy just taking a moment for yourself and just have a moment of peace in the busy lives that we are all running at the moment. So that was Sophie, who is another Sophie, our SVP in the people team at GraphCore. So we're very lucky that she's been running those sessions for us throughout the lockdown period. And I always feel like a very lovely nap afterwards. So I think that's probably a good time to wrap up for today. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining and for taking part in that exercise. I hope you found that enjoyable, and I hope you found it useful as well. Gemma, anything else you'd like to add on?
No, I think, the fact that you guys have all invested in like nearly an hour of your day to join this session means maybe well-being is something that's important to you, but it definitely takes time. I'm so pleased the scores went up so well from the beginning to the end, but without sounding a bit too cliched, it's a bit of a journey. So this maybe is the first step for you guys in managing your well-being, but I'm really pleased that you came to join the session today.
So we have recorded the session, so we will share it towards the end of the week. So if anyone would like to have a recap of what we've covered off, you will receive the details. And obviously any questions that you have, you can reach out to us directly as well. So that is everything from us for today. So thank you very much once again for your time, and we'll end the call there. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.